Hello. Hi, I'm Victoria Seed, and I am coming to you live from the Best Approach in Manchester in the UK. So today, what I'm going to be talking to you about in this 10 at 11 session is the cost and benefits of your loved one's substance use. Just before we start that, I'll tell you a little bit about what I do. I help families who are affected by a loved one's alcohol or drug use to reduce stress, learn really effective strategies to cope, and if they want, some families come to me for help in their own right because they just want to start living their own lives, and some family members want to have the best chance possible of getting a loved one into treatment or into the help they need, or accept that they need the help. So I have different varieties of programs, and I deliver these programs one-to-one and in groups as well, depending on your circumstances, how much you want to pay and things like that. So I've helped hundreds of people into recovery. I've been doing this work for 20 years and I can help you too. And what I really wanted to do, and I'm just going to try and share my screen, what I really wanted to do was show you a diagram, but I'm not sure whether it's going to let me do it. So bear with me a second. No, I can't find it. I'm really sorry. Right, okay. It's not showing up today for some reason, so let's cancel that. Yeah, so the reason why this is really important is because if you understand as a family member why your loved one is using their substance, you can stay a step ahead of it. Do you know what I mean? So you can stay a step ahead of it and start planning for certain things to happen. Get a real in-depth understanding of why your loved one is using the substance and how you can possibly have an influence over it. We know that we can't change anything that your loved one does or the decisions that they make. That isn't up to you. But what you can do as a family member is influence a change by changing the environment in which you're all in. And there's certain things as a family member that you can control when it comes to that. You're not in their head, you can't control the decisions, but you certainly can have a good go at influencing it. And around 3/4 of the time, around 70-75% of the time, this stuff works. So it's well worth giving it a go. Even if it doesn't work to change your loved one's substance use, through getting the help yourself, you can change your own life, because it's tough, isn't it, living in this situation? You know, it becomes all encompassing, you're entrenched in it. So what I'm going to go through for you is the costs and benefits of use. And I think it's going to let me share. So let's just have a little go at this. Hopefully you can see that. So let's have a think about this then. I'm going to take that banner off as well. Here, because that's blocking the view. Let's have a look. Okay, we'll take that away. Right, here we go. So the costs then of your loved one's substance use. So let's have a think about this. Now, what I always ask any individuals or any family members when they start working with me is, what problems do drugs and alcohol cause them? I actually start with the benefits, but let's just do it this way around today. So what problems do drugs and alcohol cause them? So if we can ask somebody this at any given time, this is an ideal situation if you can drop it into conversation, you know. But you don't necessarily need to have the conversation with your loved one. You can just think about it yourself. So what problems is it causing them? Because as family members, what we can do, we can increase the consequences, of the substance use. Now, this can be tough for people to understand, but unless your loved one experiences the true consequences of their substance use, their alcohol or drug use, then the likelihood is that they're not going to change. And what happens within families is that family members, partners, friends, neighbours, colleagues will rescue the loved one from the impact of their drug and alcohol use. And that's natural. We call it enabling. I hate the term, but anyway, that's what we call it because most people have heard of it. But if we keep doing that, if we keep enabling your loved one, if we keep removing those natural consequences of use, then they're just really unlikely to change because the impact of it, they're not feeling it. And if we feel the impact of something emotionally, that's what changes us. So as a family member, that's your job with the problems that alcohol and drug use causes them. Now, I've worked with a lot of families, and it doesn't mean that you have to stop every enabling behaviour. What it means is that we've got to tweak that enabling behaviour and make it helpful. So what helpful things can you do for them instead of the rescuing bit? Because they've got to feel that. These are their decisions, so they've got to feel the impact of it. So as a family member, what else can you do? What can you do differently to help? So that's the first thing. The second thing is, what do they miss out on when they use their substances? So what happens here is that they're missing out on a lot of things. So it could be that, they're missing out on the children growing up because they're not present with them. They're missing out on events because you don't want them to go because they get really intoxicated and embarrass you. Yeah, family aren't coming around to see you because, the drinking or the drug use is too much for them to cope with. So you're missing out on the family time, yeah? So what we can do here as family members, is think about the rewards that we can put in place for your loved one. And think about implementing those rewards when your loved one isn't using or taking drugs. And if they do use or take drugs, we've got some options if you've got something planned in. So say it's a family day out and your loved one stays up all night taking cocaine and drinking or whatever, and then they're unable to come. Don't let that stop your fun with yourself or with your friends or with your children, whatever it is. You go ahead and do it. And you just explain, that you better go and have a rest because you're intoxicated. So you go and do that and we're going to do this. So it kind of highlights the fact more that they are missing out on things, but you don't stop doing those things yourself. There might also be occasions where, you've got something planned in, your loved one's intoxicated, and you say, do you know what, you carry on with it yourself because I prefer being around you when you're not intoxicated. So you get on with it. We'll do something another time. I'll see you tomorrow. So we're removing ourselves from the situation. So that's the kind of thing. And when I say rewards, I don't mean start paying for loads of expensive things. That isn't what I mean. What I mean is that rewards can be affection, rewards can be watching a movie together, rewards can be cooking them their favourite meal or whatever it is. Okay, excuse me. I think I'm getting a cold. All right, so let's have a little look at the benefits as well, because I think this is important. Let me find the window for it. Let's share that. Okay, let's see here. So here we've got the benefits. So the big question to ask is, what does your loved one like about their drug and alcohol use? So this is really equally as important as the costs, because once you establish what your loved one gets out of it, like, does it give them confidence? Does it, does it make them feel better? Does it help them relieve stress? Or what? We all know that substance use doesn't relieve stress in the long run, but in the moment, then someone might be using it for that. Is it an anxiety thing? Or do they just like it? Do they like the feel of it, right? So really think this through. You can note this down and get a bit of a picture about what's going on. So what do they like about their drug and alcohol? Think about that, right? Because when we think about this, we can go back to our rewards and decrease those positive benefits that they're getting from it by introducing or reintroducing things that they got pleasure from rather than the substance. So there'll be things that your loved one is interested in other than the substance, or they used to be, and you can reintroduce those, because the way the brain works with dopamine, the substances flood the brain with fake dopamine, and that's why people carry on using their substance, because for that time that they're using it, it makes them feel better. It gives them a reward. Over time, that reward reduces, but obviously, to make someone feel better, sometimes it gets to the point that they need to have the substance so the brain and or the body can feel better as well. So there's a lot of aspects to this. It's quite a big topic. I'm not going to go into it all today, but you get the idea. So what we want to be doing is thinking about other things that your loved one can get interested in. And then finally, what does drugs and alcohol help them to avoid? Because if your loved one is avoiding things as a result of the substance use, so it could be stresses at work, it could be having to do the school run, it could be childhood trauma or something that they haven't dealt with. It could literally be anything, right? And as a family member, the way you can influence a change is by reducing conflict within the home. So if your loved one and you are arguing, and there's a lot of conflict around things and the substance use, then it just creates an excuse to use. So what we want to be doing is reducing that conflict. And this sounds the easiest, but it's actually the hardest that my clients find difficulty with, because you've got to find new ways of communicating. And it's none of this is to criticize you as family members, friends, and partners. What it is about being strategic and doing things in a new way. So therefore, that's what we need to be focusing on. And it isn't easy. It's not common sense. You've got to kind of go against the way that you've been doing things, sometimes forever, and really learn about yourself and how you communicate. And even sometimes you just have to let things go. And that can be really tough. And I know how tough that is, because I'm a recovering perfectionist. And it's hard to admit when you need help. It's hard to make those really deep changes. But that's why people that do the work I do urge family members, friends, and partners to get the help themselves. Because when you're trying to do it all by yourself and you haven't got 20 years of training and experience of helping people into the recovery, you're going to struggle. So what I'm saying to you is, come and get some help. I'm just going to remove this slide. Come and get some help. Reach out. If I can't help you, then there are other services, charitable organisations. I'm a paid service. I don't hide that at all. But there are some excellent services that can also help you. Okay. And in my, I have a free download. So I'm just going to show the link now for you. What I want you to do is head over and get this download, because you get a freebie. It's got my top 10 tips to family recovery. You've got a checklist, and you've got really, really great organizations that can help you as well. So please head over and get that at vestaapproach.co.uk/freebie. I'm going. I'll see you next week. Take care.